Hello everyone, welcome back to another James Bond review. This is Thunderball from 1965, James Bond film number 4. Sean Connery is 35 in this film, so let's get straight into it. That person he just punched, he is technically punching himself. Why? Well, the gun barrel just changed, and that person he is fighting actually played Bond in the first gun barrel of the 3 films. I guess this was just kind of a send-off for him. He knew it was definitely the villain, because why would a woman open a car door on her own in the 60s? Apparently, that's not what he did. So he just simply starts fighting him. Like I said, you can't really tell it was him from the gun barrel, so I guess it's pretty good makeup. He then flies off in a very good jetpack, which you see all on the Ultimate Edition DVDs, which I think is very, very good. You can kind of clearly see the green screen, but being the 60s and just being a jetpack, that doesn't really matter. And we also see a return of the Aston Martin DB5, which is always good. So finally, I'm sorry, I'm not going to try and the editing there, it went back and forward. So finally, he finished and lands the jetpack. Why he had the jetpack up there in the first place, I don't really know, but that doesn't really matter. Moving on to the next scene, we of course have Blofeld, who was actually played by Donald Pleasant, who is in the next film, and Emilio Largo, played by Adolphe Seelan, who is an Italian actor, plays the main villain in this film, which is number 2. Like it's a second key spec leader. That's Emilio Largo, played by Adolphe Seelan, who is Italian, and Blofeld, played by Donald Pleasant. The plan is simply to steal 2 nuclear weapons and demand $100 million. What else would you do in the 60s? So in the next scene, we simply see Bond trying to relax his back, and one of the other henchmen from Spectre plan on killing him so they can get the nuclear weapons. Not quite sure why they had to do this to him, or they couldn't just kill him right there. I suppose it wouldn't make a very exciting film. But anyway, when he finally gains consciousness, he's reasonably fine. And this is them finally landing the plane, which is the Vulcan, which didn't have any protector guns on it. What they call anti-aircraft guns. I just thought I'd throw that in there because I like history and I found that interesting. The Vulcan can actually carry 5 nuclear missiles, or 25 250-pound bombs as well. Spectre, of course, take the 2 nuclear missiles out, cover it in a netting so no one can tell, and Emilio Largo kills the man because he wants a pay rise. We don't get too much of the Aston Martin DB5 in this film, but definitely enough. This is a strange scene where a bad thing happens and Bond doesn't actually react at all to it, which, I mean, is fine. We have, of course, Miss Moneypenny, played by Louise Maxwell again, and all the other 00 agents are meeting to discuss the nuclear missile crisis. Again, we've got Q, which is played by Desmond Llewellyn, and Bernard Lee, who is M. That is Bernard Lee, who is M. However, Q is also played by Desmond Llewellyn. In the next scene, we have the Bond girl. This Bond girl is Domino, who is played by Claudine Arga, who is 24 years old at the time of recording. Sorry, I'm not very good at pronouncing names, but the Bond girl named Domino is very easy to pronounce. Bond then listens into the recording of his room in a very nice book. Yeah, that's pretty cool how they made that. And this series, Felix Leiter, played by yet another new actor. Felix Leiter, in this one played by Rick Van Nutter. Quality name, I must say. But because Bond realises there is a person in his room, he must stop Felix from saying 007. Which is strange, because in the next scene, Bond simply kind of hits him, makes him not even unconscious, and he says 007 anyway, and he then asks him, the villain, to report back to Spectre anyway. So I'm not quite sure what the point of that exercise was, but that doesn't really matter. So when he reports back to Spectre, of course, Emilio Largo simply throws him into the pool of sharks. I mean, I suppose he kind of would, because he just failed. And there is Q, played by Desmond Llewellyn. He's actually only 49 years old in this film, which I find quite interesting. Good old camera equipment and underwater breathing device given. Moving on to more finally, the woman is indeed shot at the parade. This is actually filmed in the Bahamas. Thunderball was filmed in the Bahamas and set also in the Bahamas. Yeah, I guess it's some kind of international day. It's not their Independence Day because that wasn't until 1971, but the British flag is present. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the point of that was. Anyway, Bond and Felix, again played by Rick Van Nutter, finally reasonably track the plane of the Vulcan and trying to find where the nuclear missiles are so they can simply get them back and stop Spectre from getting their money. There are loads of saltwater sharks. However, he still goes in almost naked with no protection, so I suppose he doesn't really care. James Bond making his way through the Vulcan and finding the dead man, who was actually a Spectre henchman, but because of again the pay rise, he killed him anyway, and realises that the nuclear bombs aren't there, and that was actually Domino's brother, so he must tell her what happened to him. And indeed in this scene he does. Not much happened in this scene, just again talking about she's now going to betray Spectre and help MI6 because of, guess why wouldn't you? After your brother has been killed. Yeah, there's not really too much said about this film. It's quite fast going. Some moments simply don't really make much sense, like this one. The Geiger counter was in the camera and now it's in the watch, and now it's back in the camera. It doesn't make too much sense, but it's still a good film, so yeah, whatever. You can never complain about a Bond film, in my opinion. One of the henchmen finds Bond. I don't think he was actually planning on killing Bond, but since he was a henchman of Spectre, Bond kills him anyway in a very cool way with the harpoon gun. Of course, Amelia Largo, being a Spectre agent and being the baddie, finds out what Domino is actually trying to do, and he stops her. James Bond then finds Emilio Largo and the rest of his scuba diving crew and decides to disguise himself and jump down with them. James Bond then finds the two nuclear missiles. However, Emilio Largo realises that it is Bond and locks him in there with them. However, if of course James Bond, he escapes, and the US Air Force then come in, as well as Bond, in these very nice looking orangey red scuba diving suits, and a very, very good fight scene ends up. Pretty good scarf, headbutting. Surprisingly, a lot of blood. Being Bond films, there's never too much blood, especially in the 60s, but in this one, yeah, quite a bit of gore. But keeping it PG, of course, I don't really show any of those cuts and wounds, which is I prefer. With Emilio Largo completely screwed, to be honest, with only one nuclear missile on board, and piloting his 35 knot boat into some kind of strange turbo mode, with again visible green screen. This is our end sequence for the movie. In the final attack, Emilio Largo and one of his crew try taking down Bond, but of course he gets the upper hand and is harpoon gunned to death. Well, I say harpoon gunned to death, it was only one shot by Domino and another man who's not even given a name and pretty irrelevant to the rest of the film. So yeah, they jump off his boat. That guy kind of just gets thrown in the sea. I guess he drowns. Not much is really said about him, which is fine. Yeah, this is a pretty similar ending to things like Goldfinger from Rush Love and Dr. No. Simply Bond and the Bond girl sort of going off into the sunset. Or in this case, flying up into the sunset, as you're about to see. And that is simply the end of the review. Please like and subscribe.